Okay. So, we're actually starting somewhat on time today. So, there's the link to what we're working on, in case anybody wants to see the tutorial with sound and in full. And we are working on our mountains here that still look gray. I had my hand in here for like the briefest of moments and it had a shadow on it, and it actually did, for the briefest of moment, look purple. I was like, see, camera, you know what it is. You're just playing with me. It's just playing games is what it's doing. Alright, we're gonna just kind of jump right in today because we got some work to do that we want to get done here. Alright. And there's gonna be loud trucks today because it is Monday. And that's how things go around here. So I hope everybody is having a decent Monday. And I hope your weekend finished out all right. And we are going to get back to tapping our mountain into place. It's kind of funny because with the mat that I'm using, trying to cram this fiber and weave it into the felt with our little needle here, it almost kind of sounds like you're painting on canvas. Kinda. It almost has that scratchy, like, bristle brush on canvas sound to it. So we'll see what we can get done here today. I have at least one goal in mind. I don't know if I'm being overly ambitious. Kind of depends on how things go. But I guess we'll see. Alright. Get all of this crunched into here. And we're gonna have a spot where the base felt is gonna be shining through here. It's because our other piece wasn't quite that tightly wrapped up, and that's alright. Had some gaps in it. Not a big deal. Just means that we overlap a bit. Alright. So we're going to work on overlapping this piece here. As we start to come down this slope. And we're not going to look exactly the same as Bob for how I'm doing it, because I see Bob's stuff a bit differently than other people, and you know, I'm sure somebody else would see it differently than I do. We all kind of have our own interpretations of things. And this is just kind of sort of my interpretation of what I'm seeing when I see his stuff. And I did sketch in some potential guideline areas here, but it's okay and not that big of a deal if we kind of go a little over, a little under. It's just to help me keep my spatial awareness of where things should be sitting, because otherwise I'll lose track of where I am, and suddenly I'm at the bottom and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have room for this. So it's just to help keep me in some sort of check here so I don't get too carried away. Now my outside edges, I do want to stay within those lines, so these lines in here. It's kind of my border edge, so I don't want to go too far over that. If I do, it's not a huge deal, but this side, this margin here, this border, it's going to get cut off. So, I mean, I just don't want to go over that, so I'm not wasting too much supply. So a lot of people, when they do this, it does say painting with wool. Technically we're painting with acrylic yarn. Sometimes we throw some roving wool in there in the mix, depending on if I have enough of that color to do the thing I'm trying to do. I just don't have that much roving. So maybe I should really change it to painting with acrylic yarn, but it's more commonly referred to as painting with wool. Perhaps it should be painting with fiber painting. We use wool sometimes. Close enough, right? I mean, I probably could have gotten away with using wool for our edging. Should have had enough of that, but I just don't know if I had the right color. Kind of sort of thing. I tell you, summer's trying to make an appearance now. Talking we could have multiple days of 90 degrees in a row here. I thought we were under a heat advisory today, and the way they were talking last night, we were, but it's the counties near us. That's okay, we're staying indoors. I'm trying not to burst into flames when we step outside. I know it's hotter in some areas than where it is for us. And the temperature we're at right now isn't exactly abnormal, but like we're not Death Valley temperatures, that's for certain. Not yet, at least. Let's hope it stays that way. All right. We're slowly getting there. This is a thicker chunk that we've got to work through. A little bit bigger chunk. Got a little bit more work done on the flamingo last night. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. It's one of those things where I can really only work on him in small doses. Because I have to do a little bit and then kind of let that section dry before I can move on to a new section. Sorry, doggo got up to get a drink. I was seeing what he was up to. Just making sure he was okay. Alright, just filling in this other thin spot here. Hopefully I've got him filled in enough now. Hopefully. I used to just come back and fill in all the thin spots and gaps in the when I was done that section, but it is a bit easier just to fill it in as we go. So that way when I'm actually done that color block, most of the time we're really done that color block. We don't have to go back and spend more time polishing it, so to speak. Somebody's horn happy. I've had a lot of horn happy people around here lately. I don't know if it's just people new to the area that aren't used to the slow way of things in this particular section of the world. People that don't know how to do four-way stop signs, I don't know. I'm still kind of just mystified at the absolute anger and outrage of a Taco Bell potentially moving in. I'm just like, what? What is your problem? I mean, I don't really do tacos. It's not a flavor palette that I enjoy. But I'm not gonna, you know, you want to eat there, eat there. I don't care. There's plenty of other places for me to eat. But, there was outrage over a potential McDonald's moving in, and I don't know if they even broke ground on that. Something happened with permits, and I don't know if they're reevaluating if they're going to move in after all. I don't know. But people were outraged at the Casey's gas station that moved in. And it's on a section of bypass that goes around the town. There's like 2 other gas stations in town. Who cares? Let them be out on the bypass. Like, so what? I don't understand. And, like, just the absolute outrage because it was a chain gas station and not like a mom and pop thing. And I'm like, really? It's just like, wow. They're gonna bring in tax revenue. It's not like it's in town to clog up traffic and shit. They're out on the bypass. Let them come. Let them bring more jobs. Everybody's bitching on Facebook about, oh, is there any jobs around here? Any jobs for my teenager? Let them fucking open. Let them. But no, they're all raising their pitchforks and soaking their torches, getting them ready, and I'm just like, wow. And this one lady keeps going off that it's in this one subdivision neighborhood. I'm like, it's on the bypass edge of it. It's not in the middle of a neighborhood. It's near the entrance to the neighborhood. What the hell is your problem? You can't tell me that it was for peace and quiet and not to be disrupted by noise when you moved into a huge ass subdivision. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work. Okay? It's a crowded subdivision. If you really wanted peace, you would have gone out in the sticks on the side of the mountain on one of those properties that had some acreage to it. Like, stop it. Makes sense. And if you're one of the newer people that moved in, you can't bitch about it. Oh, it's not going to feel like a small town anymore. You moved in. You bought one of the cookie cutter subdivision houses that didn't used to be there. From the people that were here before that subdivision went in, they're looking at you like you're fucking nuts. You were part of the problem. It's just wow. Holy shit. In the time that we've been here, I've seen the population on the sign on the city limits coming into the city go from 5,000 and something to 7,000 and something, and I'm like, yep. Because everybody was just enamored with the small town feel. I'm like, y'all are moving here. It's not going to feel like a small town anymore. But they need the tax revenue to make city improvements. It's just crazy. I don't get it. Okay. Let's see how... the edges of this guy. Blend it in here. That space looked a little loosey-goosey. So let's start with that end. Kind of work our way up. As best as we can. I'm gonna try to keep this edge somewhat clean, but it's okay if it's a little wobbly because we're gonna be coming back in with our outline color anyway. And then that will clean that up a bit. Oh goodness, hold on a second. Allergies are raging. And the edges of my eye are itching something terrible. My goodness. Do I need to get them? Okay. Sorry about that. It was starting to become too hard to ignore it. Okay, we kind of kept that curve. It got a little sharper than I was intending, but that's all right. We can work with it still, it's fine. We don't need to get in there and redo too much of that. Do need to get back on Unsplash and start going through the photos that I picked out that I liked. Because when I'm done working on this guy, well, when we're done working on this season, we're gonna have to pick out some photos to do. Let's see what sparks are fancy. I was thinking of trying to do some deserty ones, but I didn't get the green shades that I wanted in order to be able to do that, so that's gonna be a little bit difficult to do then. I don't have that many shades of green. Like in the shades that I want. Like all of like my peary, celery kinda army green colors were out of stock, and I was like, damn. I was like, but I need you to do the thing. So again, I am purposely overlapping these guys just so we don't have any weird seams, or just to try to tone down the weird seams where they meet. For us putting in another lump of fluff. All right. Try to get this worked into here as best as we can. Ooh, feels like it's getting toastier out there.
Mm-hmm.
You okay?
Yeah, just one.
Okay. I like to peel it up so it doesn't become too attached to our mat. Because that's a disaster when that happens. Absolute disaster. Do we need to set that fan up in the hallway?
No, we're good.
Okay. Alright. Get this guy worked into here. A little bit. All right. I mean, we're making some pretty good time here, I think. Excuse me, so far. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing all right? Did I actually manage to start on time today? It does happen. Technically, we started a half hour early, but I'll take that as being on time. It's better than me being late, right? Okay. Pop that up there. Alright, I'm just kind of brushing this down. Just helps everything sit down a little bit better back here, and so it's not quite so lumpy on the front. That's not something you have to do. It's not like part of the whole, you know, how to do this process. It's just something I found makes things a little bit easier. To keep going and just to kind of make everything fall into line a bit better. All right. Whew. Allergies. We kind of figured, oh, okay, we're starting to feel a little bit better. Maybe the blooming things and all of the pollen shooting everywhere has calmed down a little bit. Nope, nope, nope.
Oh, I knew it was going to get worse.
I was hoping at least for a couple of weeks before fall started to roll in, but we have this one tree in the backyard. Only one of them. It's been there since, I guess, before we moved in. And, we thought it was dead, honestly, because all the other trees were flowering except for, and leafing and all that, except for this one. And we're like, huh, I guess it finally died. And then we got a whole bunch of rain and the temperature spiked and all of a sudden it has leaves and flowers and we're like, damn, I guess it wasn't dead after all. It was just a late bloomer. And we're like, oh, okay. So we've got that going on back there. We bought a cherry tree shortly after we moved down here. Because I was like, oh, then we'll have our own cherries because they're so expensive at the store. Yeah, okay. Except the ants in the backyard have decided that they're going to get to them first. Number one. Number two, I don't want to put, like, insecticides down because the dogs go out there and eat the grass and shit, and I don't want to fuck about with that. Number three, we only had 3 flowers on that cherry tree this year. And then by the time those turned into cherries, the birds got them, and I was like, fucking really? So, this tree did not do anything that I was hoping it was gonna do. Whatsoever. So, I mean, it's been longer than the 5 years now that they said it was going to take to start bearing fruit. It's had fruit on it a couple of times. It's just had, like, next to nothing. Ow. So, just a little bit infuriating, to say the least. Let's see, how do we want to put this guy? Well, I mean, I'd almost rather this guy come in this way. That's how we're gonna approach that one. And I know these are stark color differences. I know this, but his looked pretty stark. And it's kind of hard to diffuse with this. And still have it look right for how I'm doing it. Okay, I saw that as a much more apparent shade. So that's what we're gonna roll with. Alright. Can you believe that June is almost over? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Alright, next bit of floof. Floofy stoof. Where do we want to put you? Maybe about there-ish. Probably a good spot there. So we are following along with the 3rd season of The Joy of Painting. We're trying to get as many of the episodes done as we can. So far we've managed to get through the first 6. We are following along with the 7th one now. And we're gonna see how this works out. We should not have too much of any troubles here getting the 7th one done. 7th one's actually pretty tame for him. This one felt like it would have been a good... Hey Zorts, how you doing? How much did you end up with your fundraiser? What was your final total? I had to bounce out on Fall Guys. I was trying to watch, and then you got to one of the sections where all of the little dudes were bouncing out, like up and down, and all of a sudden it was like giving me a headache, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I wasn't expecting to have that kind of reaction to it, but I think it was all of the different little guys jumping. I was like, oh fuck. I was like not expecting to have this kind of reaction. So definitely not a game I can physically play. Nice! Very nice, sir.
That beat your starting goal, right?
His original starting goal, yes. And now he's locked into playing that dating sim. So make sure you guys go and give Zorts some love, especially if you want to see him play the, I always get this wrong. What was it? The Dead by Daylight dating sim? Damn it. Hit the right key. I'm so bad at this. There we go. That should be quite interesting and entertaining. So that'll be soon-ish. Probably your next weekend off, I would imagine. Alright. Well, that's good. I'm glad you got some money raised. And that everybody seemed like they were having a good time. Alright. Get this all... Man, the loud cars today. I'll tell you. Kind of surprised that there is this much traffic today. I thought more stuff would be closed. We actually had trash pickup today, which I was surprised about. Okay. Alright, I mean the back looks kind of pretty too. I've got to get a picture of this out in the sun. The lighting on this thing just... It isn't working. Like, I know it looks gray. I know it looks gray. What is that? Is that a mark on my screen? Or... See, there! It looked briefly purple when my hand was in the way. Like that. Okay, that's paint on my screen. I'm looking at the screen and I'm looking down at this and it looked like there was a gap somewhere over in here and I'm like, no gap. What am I looking at? It's driving me crazy. I've got paint flecks all over my screen. Not that surprising, but I never usually see them until I have like a lighter background on there, and all of my websites that I go to, if they have a dark mode, they're in dark mode. It's the bright white on my screen, just, it's like, vampire. Too bright. Kinda glad I don't work in the casino anymore. Because that was hell coming out of there at 8 o'clock in the morning. After being inside all night. Like, I left the house and it was dark out. I come in. I'm in a windowless area. I don't see the light of day until I leave. And then, oh my god, it was like needles stabbing me in my eyes leaving there in the morning. Because a lot of times we would walk the boardwalk down to the street that the bus station was on and cross over. Because paying for an in-city tram was ridiculous. Like, it wasn't that much, but if you're doing it every day, it really added up. And then the city tram kept raising their prices, and I was like, yo, I don't make cocktail waitress money here.
To be fair, they weren't getting paid jack anyhow.
Yeah. They made all theirs in tips. If they got tipped. And I rarely got tipped. I think I only got tipped twice. We didn't handle money, so normally we didn't handle actual money. We handled the paperwork in the department that I was in to get people money. And we weren't allowed to touch money. Like, people could not pay off their credit lines at our window. They had to go to a cashier window. Which was really funny because we were surrounded by money. Because we were near the main bank for the casino, and they'd have these huge locked up rolling carts that they were bringing out doing deposits with. I didn't know deposit bags came that big. I was like, holy shit. It's always kind of nerve-wracking working in there around all that money. And like the 500 cameras that were around. Like, you couldn't fucking sneeze without a camera seeing you. Alright. I know a lot of people think, oh, you work at the casino? It must be so glamorous. No, it's really not. It's really not. It's a thankless, underpaid service industry position. It's not glamorous at all. I don't know why people would think it would be. Having to kiss drunk high rollers' asses to keep them in the building, losing their money. It's just, it's not glamorous, you guys. Tell you, I really felt bad for housekeeping because, man, it was just the shit they had to go through. I liked one of the guys that was on the housekeeping crew that had to come in and clean the back of the house where we were. He was pretty cool. He was alright. They even had to come in with security escort because they didn't have the licensing to be back there unattended. They had a different license. Which had to be a pain in the ass to wait for security to be available. And the noise level was pretty loud after they put the bar in. It wasn't too bad before the bar went in. It'd be like normal casino yelly stuff because they had a bunch of craps tables and stuff right near where we were at. And then they took a bunch of those out and a bunch of blackjack tables out. And they put in this huge ass round bar, like 20 feet from the casino window, cashier window. And man, did they crank the music in there. The weekend, you couldn't even hardly talk to the person next to you without shouting back there. That was crazy. So loud. Not a fan of that much noise. Okay. Sorry, I just saw a dark piece of fluff sticking up there. I went to grab it and it wasn't there. Okay, I'm getting this guy, who doesn't seem to want to really, well, I guess he's in there. Ooh, stomach's growling. We're still working on that chunk that we pulled out of the bag when we first got started. We're actually making some pretty good time here. I've been finding glitter everywhere for the past like 24 hours and I don't know why. Like, I pulled out a piece of paper to start putting the twisted tissue paper on. I found glitter all over that. I'm like, why? Where did this even come from? I haven't used glitter since December. Since December. Holy hell. It's worse than cockroaches. My goodness. I've got glitter all over this somehow. It's not even in a drawer that had glitter in it. Oh, I hate using glitter. I hate it. I mean, I like the look of it at Christmas. I hate using it. I hate using it. I hate touching it. But I like the look of it. I kid you not. The dog. One of the dogs on his butt. The other day, he was running around and I saw something sparkle and I was like, what? And I finally got him to hold still. He had a piece of glitter on his fur. I was like, where? Where did this come from? It's still embedded in the one rug. I've shampooed that rug like 6 times since Christmas, and I walk past it and I'm seeing a sparkle on the floor and I'm like, seriously? It's been vacuumed. It's been shampooed. I'm still finding it. Like, stop. It just doesn't fucking go away. It's horrible. And it's not like the newer glitter either. It's old glitter that I have. I haven't bought new glitter in years. This is just old glitter that's been sitting around that we hadn't used up yet. So it's not like the biodegradable kind. So it will probably forever be here. We'll probably sell this place, somebody new will move in, they'll rip out the rugs, redo the flooring, and they'll probably still be finding it. It's maddening. Absolutely maddening. surprised there's not glitter in the fish tank at this point. Huh, Val. Val doesn't want to sparkle. I feel bad because Val looks bored, but I don't really have anything in there to entertain him. Like, I put a mirror up and he kind of fusses with it for like maybe a minute and then he gets bored and wanders away, and I'll set something new outside the tank and he'll look at it for a minute if he looks at it at all. And he's like, meh. I'm still heartbroken over Harold. I think it's because he just vanished and I didn't have closure as to what the fuck happened to him. He was so pretty. Harold didn't deserve whatever ending that was, unless he did it to himself. I don't know. I still think Cal was involved somehow. But ever since I started putting the book on top of the tank, Val has not escaped, so... There was one instance where everything flew off the top of the tank, my coconut turtle and my sketchbook, and I think that was because Cal was fucking around over there. And since he fell, because it wasn't on there completely, it was like on there just enough where if a cat tried to put their foot on it, it would fall and wake me up. I think that spooked him. And he hasn't tried since. That's okay. We're gonna have all kinds of glitter all up in this joint, I'm sure, come Christmas, because... Or actually a little bit before Christmas, because my mom wants me to do a Christmas grave blanket. And I'm gonna have to do a fall arrangement, so I have to keep an eye on the ads to see when shit's gonna go on sale. Because I'd like to get the Christmas blanket stuff ahead of time. As soon as that shit comes in. While there's still a selection to pick from. Before it all sells out. And sorry we don't do the flower arranging on stream. I don't have enough space to do that. You wouldn't be able to see anything because it would be like right up on the camera. My camera's not that high above what I'm doing. And as amusing as I'm sure it would be for you guys to watch me try not to burn myself with the glue gun. And forget that I put glue on something and then touch it. And be like, ah! Get it off, get off, get off! I just don't have the space for that. Again, child, you don't need to be on the edge of the mat. I'll tell you, those glue gun burns are no joke. You can really fuck yourself up with them. Especially the pans of glue. That's one thing I will never do, is the pans of glue. I spill stuff too much on a regular basis. That's one thing I don't want to spill, nor do I want one of the cats jumping into it. That would be, oh my god. That would be a disaster. I'll just stick with the glue gun. Now, I try to use the glue gun on low temp when possible, but it's not always possible. Kind of depends on what the temperature is in the house and how fast I'm working, but if I'm working a little bit slower and have to be a little bit more careful, I have to do it on the high temp, because if I do it on the low temp, by the time I set the glue gun down, it's like already solidified. And it doesn't hold half the time. Now if I ever get more room and get a bigger work area, then yeah, I've got no problem streaming it, but right now that's not possible. You got burns at least every other, you get yeah, those machines get hot. What time are you and Tyler doing something?
After dinner.
Okay. So, if we do any bonus streaming on Wednesday, it's not gonna be until later. Like, probably not till like 9 or 10 later, because our friend Tyler is gonna be doing something that Russell's gonna be joining in, and I think that starts this week. Man, we got so lucky with those storms. We were sitting here watching the warnings come in, and I'm like, oh shit. And like they even did like a civil service warning because the storm winds for a thunderstorm were so bad in Tulsa coming our way. And they thought that there was a chance that these storms could maintain their intensity. And they're like, yeah, 100-mile-an-hour plus winds on these thunderstorms. I'm like, fuck, we're in hurricane territory. What the hell? And we were quick trying to secure some extra stuff outside. We got Mongo pinned down as best as we could in one of the empty trash cans. And Mongo's the 5-foot tall flamingo outside, in case you guys didn't know. We're sitting here and we're watching it, and I'm like, they were doing the warnings well out in front of the storms to give people enough time because of the late hour to figure out what they wanted to do, because the edge of the line of storms was having some tornadoes spin up very suddenly in a couple of areas, and with the winds being so strong, some of the forecasters were like, you know what, just go to your storm shelter, treat it like a tornado, because this is crazy. And it was really wild there for a little bit, and we got a warning, and I'm like, oh shit. Our warning was, the storm kind of split into two. It was weird as it was coming into Arkansas, where the northern part of the storm stayed really intense, and they were warning that section for like 100-mile-an-hour plus winds, like just like half an hour north of us. And then our side of the storm, they were warning for 70-mile-an-hour-ish winds and hail, and I'm like, oh shit. And I saw them put the warning up. The storm hadn't quite crossed the state line yet. We never got a weather warning phone call that we were supposed to get. We're supposed to get it anytime there's a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning. They were doing it for flood warning, even though we were like, no, you don't need to do the flood warning. We're not in a flood-prone section of town. We're fine. And they were still doing it for the flooding. And this time we never got a phone call, and I was like, really? And I didn't update further on Twitter that night because we were sitting here, and the husband was talking about getting ready for bed to try to go to sleep again. I'm like, you're gonna leave me? You're gonna go back in the back bedroom with these nasty ass winds and that tree that likes to drop limbs? I really don't want you in that back room. He's like, no, I'm gonna lay down out here. And then the light started blinking, and we're like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna shut my computer down just to be on the safe side. And I'm like, what do I do? So I ended up shutting down this one because it's brand new, and I didn't want to have anything happen to it. And I don't have Twitter on my Kindle. And I was just kind of sitting there watching the weather coming in. I'm like, well, what's gonna happen? You know, a little bit freaked out. And we got the gust front ahead of it. And it just came up out of nowhere. It just started roaring outside. And one of my mom's wind chimes, like, just exploded into pieces because it couldn't stand up to the force of the winds. And we're watching the leaves roll around in the parking lot across the street, and we're like, wow, this is crazy. And it never thundered. It never thundered for us. The bottom and the tail end of the line of storms that we were supposed to get fizzled. It rained a little bit, and that was it. I was like, fucking really? I mean, I'm glad we didn't get the real worst of the severe shit, but... And there were a couple of tornadoes that did spin up near us. Like, a little bit to our north and a little bit to our south. But I was just like, okay. I mean, I'm glad we didn't get the icky stuff, but... Like, the weather dude got on TV because he was so concerned with the winds. He's like, no, we need to be on the air for this. Because he doesn't normally get on the air for severe thunderstorm warning. And they usually only get on the air locally for us with tornadoes. I kind of like the way they handle the severe weather days on this one news station in Oklahoma. But they don't cover our area. And I kind of wish they would cover it the same way for our local stations, but they just don't. A little bit of a thin spot right there. And I might have one right here. But we still need to fill in. So now there's still a bunch of people without power. Our power never went out either. Like, I grabbed the flashlight and I was walking around with it for a little bit because our house gets dark when the power goes out. Like, you can't see shit. And with all the animals, I didn't want to fall over anybody. But there's still people without power in the area. And we're going to be in 90 plus degree heat for the next few days. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, well, at least we still have our power. So that's something. And I did a walk around the house. Like, I didn't really see any damage. I didn't really look at the roof though, but there was no big branches or anything down on the ground to indicate a reason to check up on the roof. And we didn't see any leaks in the house anywhere. I think the worst thing I saw on our property was a bird nest that was ripped out of a tree. There wasn't any sign of any eggs or anything. So I don't know if the nest had been abandoned or if they had all just flown away by that point. Like, it didn't seem like there was any babies still in there. But the rest of our outdoor stuff didn't really budge. Russell was kind of concerned about the flamingos outside, but they held strong. Which was surprising considering that wind. Alright, let me get this guy smoothed out here. Alright. It's kind of funny, one of the recorded series I was doing for the YouTube channel really wasn't getting any views for the last couple of videos that I had posted, and I was like, you know, maybe I'll just stop working on it, because, you know, I don't need to invest extra time in something if, you know, it's not doing anything. I'll go and work on something else. And then when I got up this morning, it had like a shit ton of views on it, and I was like, what? I was like, okay. I guess we'll keep working on it then, because I've got another video I need to edit for it that that I recorded. The husband popped in. I'd have him help me with that one. Because while I was sort of getting somewhere on my own, I kind of wasn't. There for a little bit. And I was starting to get really fucking frustrated. Oh, could you check that pot?
I already did.
Thank you.
Put fresh water on it, broke up meat.
Thank you. Did you want any of that tonight or no?
Probably not.
Okay. Do you want me to make you anything for dinner?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted mac and cheese or anything.
I mean, if you make it, I'll eat it, but I'm not asking for it.
Do you have something to eat otherwise?
No. I'll find something.
Alright, so let's try to get this last little bit in here filled in. I think I might have to add one more patch to this section. Is what it looks like, because we're just a little bit shy right in there of how I want that to be filled in. Alright. And then we'll get this. So I mean, my mountains don't look the same as his, and that's fine. My top of mountain range is a little bit more weathered. We're just kind of trying to use the tutorial as a follow along guide of, you know, doing the thing. And then we'll kind of go from there. Alright. Really does sound like I'm pouncing a paintbrush on a piece of canvas. We need to get back to our Bob Ross painting gouache series. And I was like, yeah, but let me finish the flamingo first since I started it. But that flamingo buddy is going to take quite a while. He's not a 2-day project. Especially considering I still have to prep the pink tissue paper. So this guy's a little bit... This side's a little bit under. Ironically. It's where I want it to be. Like, really? Let's see if we can even that up. Like, I can't tell if I'm a little bit under or if the top pieces are a little bit over. But I guess it's better to be just a smidge over than a smidge under. I mean, either way, we can even it up with the scissors when we get done. And now I have to be really diligent about working this in, or we might have to do one more color patch. Nope, we're gonna have to do one more color patch. Damn it. Because this bit of fluff here... Well, you know what? Maybe not. We might not have to. Because this side is gonna have trees and stuff. You know what? No, we're not gonna do another color patch because I think what's going on down here is gonna cover that anyway. Alright, so we're gonna put the pansy purple to the side here. Just in case I need more of it later. Alright. And now, pop back in to the edge of our guy here. And we'll start to fill in our outline. Get the edge of our ridge in place. Since he's got his exaggerated with that darker, sharper purpley edge, we can do the same. No props. Alright. That kind of worked into there. Well, it would have been no problem, except that decided to be a little bit thin. You know what, I'll take this piece. Right in there. It's one bad thing about wearing shorts when I'm doing this. I'll get like random bits of fluff that just get picked up from the fans moving around, and then all of a sudden I've got like the slightest little tiniest piece touching my leg, and I'm like, what's touching me? It becomes so damn distracting. Are you just gonna be that stubborn? I think it is gonna be that stubborn. Alright. That's how you want to do. Got a little tiny piece of the dark gray showing up there. You can see it on the camera actually. Right in through here. alright, if it wants to play that game. I can play that game. We'll just come back in and refill that section. That's fine. I thought I'd had you filled in pretty solidly, but I guess I kind of sort of didn't. Oh, and now this is getting thin down here, see? Sometimes, as you're going back in and adding to in certain areas, you'll have the fiber pull and stuff, and it can inadvertently bring thinner sections to your attention that you thought looked good, and you're going back and you're like, hey, where'd you come from? You weren't there before. Stop it. Alright. I'm beginning to think that shade's just never going to look purple on the camera with the way the lighting is in here. Well, no, it's not time yet. It hasn't been long enough.
Go on, it's barely been time. Go on.
Go lay down, it's not even been a half hour. It's too hot out. There's no way you have to pee again already. It's too hot outside to dick about. You shouldn't be out there with your little feets on the hot, hot ground. No puppy feet burns. I don't have little doggy shoes for you, nor do I think you would tolerate wearing them. Although, I don't know. He loved his coat. He got so excited about that thing being put on him. It was so adorable. They really need to make more doggy sweaters and coats and stuff that have a harness hole in the back, like on the top of it, because we had to customize the doggy coat that we had for them and cut a notch in the top of it for the hooks for their harnesses for their leashes. I don't like using collars. I've had too many dogs slip their collar. I mean, Zuzu slipped his harness like once when it was not the right size, but I've had more instances of them slipping out of collars than I have harnesses. So I'm just not a fan of the collars. I mean, you could argue for both and you just put the leash on the harness. But that way, if they ever got out, they'd still have ID on them. I could see both, but I don't trust the leash on the collar. I guess would be a better way to phrase that. Okay. Let's see her. So getting this shade put into here. So this is that dark, I think it's pronounced aubergine. Really dark purple. It's like a cross between like an eggplant and a navy, but more purple. More purple than blue, I guess. Blue or purple? I mean, I know you use blue to make purple, but... And see how it's acting all crazy. Twisting all over and stuff when I don't have my hand on it. That's why I tend to have my hand on it. Oh gosh, my mom wants to go to the county fair this year. I think she said she did, right? Did I imagine you saying that, or didn't she say she wanted to go to the county fair this year?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I imagined you saying that or not. She missed seeing all the 4-H stuff last year. She like really wants a chicken. But I'm like, you're gonna have to fucking take care of the thing. It can't be a house chicken. It would have to be outside. No house chickens. Kidding, the cats would fucking murder it. Hell no. The idea of having a duck amuses me, but I know that wouldn't work. I actually don't know if we can have a duck in city limits. I think you can have up to 2 chickens. However, that seems to be a who you know situation, because there's somebody that lives on the next street behind us that I think has 6. Though I haven't heard their rooster in a while, so I wonder if they got in trouble for the rooster. But they also have 2 dogs, or at least a dog, in a pen that we never see the dog out of that pen. And it's a very small pen, and they are good-sized dogs. And I'm like, what the fuck is the point of having the dog if it's gonna be out all of the time in a tiny, tiny postage stamp of an area? And you never seem to give it any attention, as far as we can tell. I'm like, really? Why bother? But people like to also just dump their unwanted pets in our area. Don't do that. Don't just dump them somewhere to fend for themselves. Our local pounds at capacity. Which, I mean, that doesn't say that much because it's a small pound, because it was a small town. They really need more room in a bigger building. I doubt they'll ever get it. I believe the one lady that did the majority of the caretaking for it, she either stepped down or passed away, or she stepped down and then passed away. I can't remember what happened. So now it's left to what volunteers they had to pick up the pieces. And our town's gone through about like 4 different animal control officers, and I don't know why. I don't know if they left or if they got promoted into better, bigger things. I don't fucking know. But it seems like every time I do pop onto Facebook, the town's like, oh, welcome in so-and-so, our new animal control officer. I'm like, new as an additional, or new as in the other ones aren't there anymore? Like, what do you mean? Because you can only get a hold of an animal control officer at, like, between 8 and 5 a.m. There's no overnight animal control people. They really need, like, more than one, especially with the rate that the town is growing. Okay. Well, we got one of my goals completed today so far. And that was to get this bottom purple mountain put in. So that's something. That's nothing to snazz at. And it looks like we'll be completing goal number 2, which was to get it outlined here. As best as we can. Alright. So I'm pretty sure we're done. No, we're not. I'm pretty sure we're done with this color now, but nope. We've got another. No, wait, that's the way the light's hitting it. Was that just a shine from the... That was just a shine from the light. Okay. We're not going to put the bag of pansy too far away, though. Based off of what we've experienced so far. We keep needing it back. Alright. So let's sneak this guy up here. Alright. Let's see, this is gonna be, oh yeah, that should be more than long enough. Get this guy worked into here. Get him all nice and edged up. And then he'll be looking pretty good. And then we'll start to advance the tutorial here in just a second and see what we got coming next. What's next on the road here? Alright. And that is pretty good there. I'm just so mad that that's looking so gray. It's really not, I promise. But it looks great out against the other colors on the camera. Alright, well, let's go ahead and we'll advance the tutorial here for a second. Sap green, blue, crimson. What the hell? Predominantly green. Uh-oh. Okay. And then he turned around and lightened it a little bit. Okay, so it's not as dark as I was thinking it was gonna be. We can work with that. Okay, so we've got like little tree guys coming in here. Or at least like the shape. Kind of like that cedary tree shape. The little coney guys. Or tubes, I guess. Not quite like a triangle cone, but... Okay, so he kind of takes that right up to the edge here. And then he's kind of taken that to maybe about here. But what's going over here? Like, I kind of need to know that before we go too far, Bob. Because I gotta know if I'm actually taking these trees all the way over. Oh, and then we're gonna put a little one there. Okay. Oh, and then another one. We're gonna hide that mountain we just put in, Bob. Okay. Well, but what are we doing over here? I need to know. Because you kind of left a blank space. And since I'm not doing paint, I can't really have the luxury of an unknown blank space. Hang on, we're just gonna... Oh, okay, that's why. It's a big old tree. Okay. So we are gonna... see, do we get the luxury of a head-on shot here? That's about as head-on as we're gonna get of that. So I need to pick up a green. Give me 1 second. Oi. Green, green, green. What green do we want? I guess. No, we're gonna go with this green. Alright, I can't remember if this was the green I originally picked out, but this is the green that I am feeling right now. So we're gonna go with lime green. Oh! Good job. Dropping shit everywhere. Alright, so we're gonna go with lime green. Although the other green's a little bit more toned down. This is a little bright. Ah, fuck it. I don't feel like getting back up again. Fuck it. Alright. So we're gonna have to make some poofy guys here. Okay. Sure, we're gonna be like varying heights and sizes. I think we will... do we want to be off this line? Or do we want to be off... other... I think we want to be off this line here. Alright, so we'll start to work this guy in, and I just picked a spot randomly. So I'm not sure how filled in this is gonna look. And again, it's okay if I don't reach this bottom pen line altogether. We'll just adjust the ground that we've got going on back there. So, yeah, oh my goodness. Okay, so that needs to be a lot thicker. Yes, it does. Alright. Let's see about getting that boy filled in there. Like, they can be a little bit thin, but that was too thin. Like, he looked like half of his branches were gone. That was definitely thinner than I wanted him to be. Alright, let's take a look at that and see how we feel. Alright, that's not too bad. So that's sort of like our medium guy. Alright, so he's kinda maybe sorta, let's say about there. It's probably a good spot to anchor him. So again, my finger's just here to keep this from feeding into where we're tapping down too quickly. Just trying to have a little bit more control over it. Don't always, oh, I actually wanted you to be down a little bit further. That's okay though. We'll just adjust our ground around it. Although he does have that other green that comes in, so maybe going to here's fine. We're going to be overlapping that other green there a bit. Not sure what color green I'm gonna do down in there. Maybe a mixture of the varsity and the light green, since I do need some of the darker green for some other places. I don't know, I gotta think about it. We'll figure it out when we get there and reevaluate the situation. That probably won't be till sometime next week. Probably. Oh. Alright, now I think I need to get the puppy, so I will be right back. Oh, that's not what I wanted to grab. Just a minute, Momo, I'm coming. Just a minute. There we go. Be right back, you guys. Alright, I'm back. Sorry. But I had to pee. Puppy potty happens. I hate telling the old dog no. You know, you don't know. Old dog, small bladder. He always had a small bladder to begin with, but he's a small dog. And he did actually pee. Our trip was successful, so. Yeah, there's something under my nail all of a sudden. Probably when I was digging through his snack bag in the freezer. Alright. Okay, so that's my end piece. And I am putting these in kind of randomly here. With the sizing. At least to start with, just to try to get some variation in here. So we don't look like a complete total wall of just color. Okay. So this guy is looking kind of crooked, actually. Come on, it's a Nisey thing, you know? Shit's gotta be crooked. Stuff's not straight around here. Hey, I don't even have my head on straight. Half my pictures, my head is tilted. Drives me crazy. Alright. Oh, this might have been a decent color choice. It was a little bright, but it still fits. I mean, the other shade would have been a little bit more subdued. Wouldn't have been as yellow. But, I don't know, this kind of works. Alright. So now, we're gonna need to start putting in our smaller guys, right? So I'm kind of like somewhere on this line, but somewhere not. I'm just kind of grabbing those edges and taking them up to a central pointed location. That might be a little big for that spot. Probably should have been a little bit shorter. Like shorter from the top, not shorter from the bottom. It's kind of more interested in making sure that I got that side covered. More than anything. So we didn't have too big of a gap there. Okay. So next up, we'll try to make this guy a little bit shorter. I'm kind of like all over the place with what line I'm putting these trees on, but that's okay. That's alright. That's not a huge problem. If anything, that might actually help us a bit in the end. If nothing else. And then down here, like the base of our trees are going to be a little bit of a hot mess until we get that other color brought in. That's going to kind of fill in this area around them. So I forgot that color was there, so it's not quite so imperative that these guys hit that line. Tell you, I really am an idiot some days though. I got up, I was half asleep, and I was like, I definitely need to get up on time today because I had to start dinner because what we're having for dinner takes a little bit to cook to get it to where my mom can eat it. And when I went out in the kitchen to get the dog his potty snack, I'm digging through the freezer trying to find one of his treat bags, and I'm like, it smells like something's cooking. What the hell's cooking? I'm like, it almost smells like meat cooking. And I'm like, oh, dumbass, right. The pot that you have going on the stove. I was like, really? Swear to God. Oi. I tell ya. My brain some days just checks out entirely. More often than not. I literally asked the husband if he had checked on it, or if he would check on it. I knew the thing was cooking. I'm the one that put it on. What's that smell? It smells like food cooking. Ugh. Tell ya. Maybe it's been just too much bleach seeping into my brain. That guy turned out really crooked. Oh well. Maybe he got bent growing in the wind. Maybe he was leaning for the sun. These shaped trees can be a little bit more difficult. I mean, they're not too bad, but I mean, there are harder trees to try to put in. But getting the initial shape right can be a little tricky. Alright, that one's got a little bit of a gap between the two, but that's okay. I also need to be thinking about height here for what's coming in next. So we've got a couple of bushy trees back in here. So I don't want this guy to be too tall. Needs to be a little bit shorter. And not all of these really necessarily need to be quite so pointy, I suppose. Because he's got some sections where there's some pointier ones than others. And again, I'm not worried about where the bottoms are lining up anymore. Because I forgot we've got that shrubby undergrowth craziness that's gonna come in here. I'll probably mix some of the light green, which is just a shade or two darker than this lime green, into it. I don't know what color you are, but you don't belong in there. That is not your color. Wait, what? What did that say? Oh. That's an interesting news headline that just came through. I'm not gonna go into detail. That was interesting. Okay. So we'll get this little guy in here. Tell you, it was definitely baking out there when I took the pupper out. It says it's 87. I wonder what our feels like is. Can't really go by the thermometer we have on the porch because that's in shade. It's probably not completely accurate. I mean, that looks pretty good there, going off. That's a nice green color against our purple there. Brightens things up a bit. It kind of seems like it does. So I want his bottom to be a little bit bigger than his top here. Pointy end to the sky. I guess it kind of works out for this shape of tree, because the way I do my little fiber snake rolls there, they always seem to have one end that's a little bit more pointier than the other. And if yours don't have a particularly more pointy end than the other, just take one of the ends and kind of fold it up under itself, and then the upper tip that you're gonna put down as the top of your tree, just kind of like stab that in as a point, and then you can kind of let the rest of it just kind of do its thing here. Now I probably have a bit more space in between my guys. Okay, that just kind of ended up going in looking like a line. We can fix that though. Probably get a slightly bigger guy going here. Don't have too many big guys down this end. Don't even really have that many medium guys. Probably due for one. All right. This guy worked into here. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty good. So far. See what he looks like as we get the rest of them tapped into place here. I could change my opinion. And rather quickly. Alright. Smooth this guy down a bit. I mean, that's nice. You can see our trees coming in on the backside too. That's not bad. Oh, hang on, let me get this. There we go. There was an annoying grid line running across my OBS screen. So I have to get rid of that. Okay. Oh, this guy's gonna be a little chunky. That's alright. We can have a couple of chunky friends there together. Okay. Alright. So these are one of the more simple shaped trees that he does. And they're not too bad. They're probably a little bit easier than some. For me at least. It's just getting that initial shape worked out in your head for how to manipulate your fluff. Takes a little bit of practice. I kind of feel like maybe this level of simplicity is what he should have like done episode 1 with from like season 1. Because I actually found season 1 episode 1 to be really kind of challenging and bold, jumping in there with that blue-green sky and like that was hard. Kind of feel like something a little bit easier, a little bit softer might have been the better way to go with just starting out. So this guy's got a little bit of purple kind of shining through him there, and I kind of don't want that much purple. So if that's the case, I don't mind a little bit, but we're starting to get x-ray vision with him, so just gonna fill him in a little bit more. Or at least try to. That's the idea here. Oh, you are a lot shorter than the rest of them. That's okay, though. It won't be an issue. And we get down to the grand scheme of things there. I kind of feel like we need another big, tall guy. He doesn't necessarily have to be super chunky. But I feel like we're kind of due. You know what? I think to make that really work for us, we need a little bit more fluff in there. Is what I'm thinking. I could be thinking very wrong. Oh yeah, this guy's gonna be super chunktastic. Okay. You know what? That's okay. Alright. I'm probably going to add a little bit more fluff to the tip of this guy. Just because he did get a little bit too thin up there, I think. We could leave it alone. Let's see what it looks like as we get the rest of this guy put in here before I get too decided on anything. See where we end up here. He's gonna take a couple extra minutes to work in here because he's a little bit thicker and a little bit bigger. Just gonna take our time, get him into place. So I'm thinking one of our trees that he put in, we might put over here. And then probably maybe another one over in here. We'll have to see. Alright, that's not too bad, actually. Quite the tree line going in here. It almost looks neon against this purple. Not quite. Not quite day glow green, but definitely is bright. Alright, who do I want to be the bottom edge? I guess we'll go with you. In our bottom edge here. If you'll cooperate, geez. So if you're having a little bit of some unruly fluff, you can always dampen your fingers with a little bit of water. And just kind of, you know, touch the sides of it and stuff. You don't want to soak the fluff. That's not what you're trying to do. Just kind of like smooth down the frizzies on the edges. I guess is the best way I can describe that. Momo, I just took you out, not...
Actually, Zuzu is looking.
Oh, it's Zuzu. It didn't sound like Zuzu.
You gotta go pee-pee?
I was gonna say.
He's been avoiding pee-pee all day. Ready to go outside? Go pee-pee? Oh, you are. Who's for you, dude?
Alright, just try not to be on the hot cement too much.
Oh, I was just playing with sitting on the grass.
Okay, because puppy hot foot. No puppy hot foot. So we got enough hot spots as it is. We don't need puppy hot foot on top of it. No burned pupper toes. That's another thing we gotta think about now that it's getting warmer out. We gotta remember concrete and asphalt is hot. And puppy pads are sensitive. Puppies. They're not really puppies. I just call them puppers. I think they're pushing 12 this year. Sounds like Zuzu might be giving Russell some trouble about peeing in our yard. Because they like to go off on adventures across the street, and it's like, you can't always do that if traffic's too heavy. Not always an option. So if you get your trees real close together, you're gonna have to concentrate on the tips being a bit more defined. So you can tell that there's an individual tree there. Does not sound like you were successful.
No, he went.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, it sounded like he was being a bit of a brat out there.
No, he was being good. I was talking to your mom.
Oh. I didn't know she was up. A little early for her to be up from her nap, I guess. Alright, so this guy pop into here. Oh gosh, so if we're going to the county fair, I really need to look up what the dates for that's gonna be. To figure out what day we're gonna go. Because one day they have reduced admission if you bring in some canned goods for food drives, so we can do that. Alrighty. All dogs are puppies? Yeah, pretty much. They're my puppers. They're my peoples. As long as they're not snarly at me. So we're not doing too bad here. We actually made a lot more progress than I was expecting we were going to today. You never know how long adding in like a solid section of color is going to take. Kind of depends on how your fluff's behaving. To be perfectly honest. Alright. Getting this worked in here. Speaking of shampooing rugs, I gotta shampoo a rug tomorrow. Not looking forward to that 'cause it's always a pain in the ass, but at least it should dry fairly quickly. I hope. Although I am out of rug stain remover, so we'll see how well it cleans up without it. It's just such a high traffic rug. I'd really be happier if we could like rip it out and put some vinyl tiles down or something. But that's a project I'm not sure I really want to get involved in. Alright, sir, you have a good night at work. Try not to burn yourself. Stay hydrated in the heat. And I'll talk to you later. So I'll tell you, those plastic machines get hot. I know where Russell was working for a while, I think they had the air conditioner cranked.
No, they didn't have AC really.
Oh, they didn't? I thought you said they did, but the machines negated it.
They did at one point.
Oh.
They stopped trying in the last year I was there, if I recall.
So what'd they do? Just have doors open? And fans running?
Yeah. They had a couple little doors open, and they'd open the dock door that was all on the other side of the building, but put no fan there.
And of course, they didn't, no industrial sized warehouse fans that would have done anything whatsoever. Half the crew brought in their own fans. Kind of fucked up, actually. Especially when it was getting to be like 90 something at night. He was on day shift. Second there, I thought you were doing overnights there, but no, you weren't. Alright. Get this guy flattened So I don't think we're gonna finish this guy today. In fact, we might stop there for today, since we finished off that section of fluff. So next week, well, I guess technically it would be this week, so Sunday, when we get back to this, we'll pick up with these trees and we'll finish putting them into here. And then we will come back in with our darker green and start to work that into the bottoms here. Crossed, and then get those tree poofs put in. And then we'll figure it out from there. But not bad work today. We got the rest of the lower mountain filled in. We got it outlined, and then we started to get these guys put in. So still, for the amount of time that we've been live today, not bad at all. Now my next scheduled stream is going to be on Thursday. We'll be doing Coral Island, so don't forget to follow all the socials down below and follow here, and so that way you know when I go live. Or you can follow on the Twitter, and we usually post there when we go live as well. So Thursday's going to be Coral Island. Friday will be Planet Zoo solo. We might sneak in a gouache painting stream maybe late tomorrow night. We'll see how I'm feeling, how my hand is feeling. So it's still giving me some problems, but we'll figure it out. But you know, the schedule on here is pretty accurate, and so you know, sometimes we do some bonus streams. But you guys have a good week. I hope to see you Thursday at the very least for Coral Island fun. And until next time, you guys, stay hydrated and have a good one.